Hi guys, so picking up from our last lesson, we covered two approaches of opportunity creation. That was effectuation and search and select. Now we'll move on to the legal issues that every entrepreneur needs to look into. We'll start off with the corporate law, then we'll move on to tax, intellectual property, consumer law, labor law, and I've just noticed, I realized I didn't include the labor law in the notes, so if you just jot that down. Then we'll move on to commercial law, then licensing law. So in this lesson, we'll talk about why an entrepreneur should even bother himself with all this legal stuff in the first place. Then I'll mention some of the important documents you need to look out for in this first category of corporate law. Relevance to the entrepreneur. There are several reasons why you want to have even basic knowledge on legal issues. And the first one is you get to know just how relatively easy it is to actually start a company. Without the right knowledge, even the easiest of things seem complicated or even scary. Because from your point of view, you'll be venturing into the unknown. So who knows what kind of complicated requirements you have to meet before the government recognizes you as a business legally. But when you do have a basic understanding of the legal issues, you get to realize just how easy it is to form a company. Number 2, so that you do not operate illegally. The last thing you want is for your brilliant brainchild to be welcomed with a series of penalties because you failed to perform some basic housekeeping. So you really want to have a basic understanding on these legal issues so that you abide by the law. And you do not want penalties because they may range from a simple fine of a few dollars to something more severe like 5 years in prison. So you really want to know your legal stuff. And the third reason is so that you remain in control. Now I watched this one movie a while back, The Social Network. It's about Facebook, its founders, and all the drama surrounding its formation. Now before I go on, a disclaimer. I'll be talking from the point of view that this movie was a work of fiction. That isn't to say what was depicted in the movie wasn't true, just that you have to go research on your own in order to get a full understanding of what really went down, so that you can separate fact from fiction. But that doesn't stop us from drawing a few lessons from the movie. For instance, how this character, Eduardo Saverin, a co-founder of Facebook, was booted out of the company. In the movie, Zuckerberg duped him out of a huge chunk of Facebook stock, diluted his stake in the company, and booted him out. Having some knowledge on corporate law would go a long way towards making sure you don't ever have to face something like that. I was reading through our Companies Act and I noticed provisions have been made to give founders control over the ownership and transferability of shares. So armed with that basic knowledge, you can ensure that your interests and rights as a founder are protected when legal documents are being drafted. Corporate law is about how businesses set themselves up to operate as companies. So let's mention some important documents concerning that. Number 1, the Companies Act. This is legislation relating to company law. It specifies the types of business structures that are recognized and the requirements by law to form them. It also specifies the requirements for a valid memorandum of association. Now the name may vary between countries. For instance, in China, it's referred to as the company's ordinance. In other places, it's referred to as the company's bill, but it's pretty much the same thing. Number 2, the memorandum of association. Now this is a type of business document that is used as part of the incorporation process to form a new company, and it helps define the relationship between that new company and the rest of the world. Now this is a requirement if you are trying to incorporate your venture, where incorporation means the process of legally declaring a corporate entity as being separate from its owners. So it does not apply for partnerships and sole proprietorships in most jurisdictions. A useful resource to help you find some of the enactments different countries have is the World Intellectual Property Organization. You can perform a search on the site. using the country of your choosing as the search criteria. You will get a number of articles concerning that country and a link to a collection of its laws. Some are available in PDF format, so it's really useful when you can't find what you're looking for on your own. So, that's about it for this lesson. We have talked about the relevance of legal concerns to the entrepreneur. We've talked about 2 important documents under corporate law and a useful resource in finding the different enactments and laws of a country.